Breaking news out of Oak Island has stunned fans around the world. And this time, it's different. After decades of relentless digging, unanswered questions, and lifelong obsession, rumors are spreading that Rick Lagina has finally walked away from the island's greatest secret. But not empty-handed. Insiders claim Rick didn't just leave, he settled accounts. Quietly, millions of dollars paid out to his crew, far beyond anything anyone expected. And that's when the story took a darker turn. Because now, people aren't asking how much was found. They're asking what was found. Some believe it was never about gold at all. Whispers point to an ancient artifact, something powerful, something tied to lost history. Others say federal authorities are now reviewing a secret transaction involving a private collector and an item deemed too important for public eyes. What's most chilling is Rick's silence. No celebration, no victory speech, just a calm expression from a man who may have completed his mission while leaving something buried beneath Oak Island forever. Why the rush? Why the secrecy? And what truth was too dangerous to reveal? Watch closely, because the Oak Island mystery was never just about treasure. It may be about a history the world was never meant to uncover. The moment the headline hit social media, Rick Lagina sold the treasure, the internet erupted. Overnight, confusion spread everywhere. The very discovery that made Oak Island legendary was suddenly gone. Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, every platform echoed the same question. Is the Oak Island mission finally over? Some believed Rick sold the treasure and rewarded the crew with millions. Others insisted the real gold was never meant to be revealed at all. News networks labeled it the biggest historical transaction of the year. Journalists flooded Oak Island, setting up cameras and waiting for a statement. Rick never appeared. When reporters tried pressing Marty Lagina, he only said one cryptic line: "Everything happens for a reason." That single sentence ignited a storm of theories. Was Rick forced into this decision? Did a powerful organization step in? Fans began dissecting old interviews, replaying past episodes frame by frame. One quote resurfaced repeatedly. Rick once said, "What we found goes beyond gold." Suddenly, it clicked. Maybe the discovery wasn't about money at all. Maybe it was an artifact whose value couldn't be measured. Reddit threads spiraled out of control. Templars, Vatican ties, hidden codes. The mystery grew larger than Oak Island itself. One question dominated everything. If it was only gold, why all the secrecy? And if it wasn't gold, what did Rick really find? Oak Island was no longer just a discovery. It had become a global enigma. Many people can't forget that morning at the garden shaft. A thick mist hung in the air. Machines roared as the team pushed deeper than ever before. Then something changed. The drill's sound shifted. Sharp, unnatural. Everyone froze. The monitor flickered as the camera descended, and what appeared on screen stunned them all. A metal container sat buried in mud and water, gleaming faintly. Its shape was wrong, ancient, deliberate, as if it had waited centuries to be found. Rick immediately ordered everything to stop. He gathered the team. The silence was so heavy, it felt unreal. Over the low hum of machinery, Rick finally spoke. "If this is what we think it is, history changes today." As the water drained and the mud was cleared, strange symbols emerged across the surface. Markings no one could identify. A crane was brought in. Chains were attached. No one breathed as the container slowly rose. Mud dripped. Water poured away. Yet the glow remained, mesmerizing. Rick and Marty stood motionless, both seeming to understand the weight of that moment. Cameras captured everything. unaware that this footage would later haunt the world. Rick approached the box and placed his hand on it. The metal felt cold, heavy, ancient. Someone whispered, "This doesn't look like gold." Rick smiled faintly and replied, "Then it may be worth far more." From that moment on, Oak Island changed forever. What they uncovered didn't feel like treasure. It felt like a message or a warning. That night, the island went silent. Excavations stopped. Machines shut down. Darkness swallowed the site. And yet, something happened that never made the news. According to insiders, Rick finalized a private deal that very night. No press, no crew, no announcements. A small group arrived quietly. Documents were signed. A sealed container was loaded onto a truck and driven off the island. Unlogged, unrecorded. By morning, security had doubled. Marty informed the crew the dig was paused indefinitely. No explanation, just silence. But leaks began spreading fast. Some claimed the deal was worth $40 million. Others said $70 million. A few insisted the buyer was a billionaire collector known for hiding rare artifacts in private vaults. One detail raised eyebrows. Rick was present for the deal. Marty was not. Reporters swarmed Rick's home and the island, but no one spoke. Sources later revealed Rick agreed to one condition. The object's identity would never be disclosed publicly. The man who chased truth for decades had chosen to hide it. That's what disturbed fans the most. Why would Rick stop telling the truth now? When the crew returned, the atmosphere felt wrong. The site was empty. The box was gone. Marty gathered everyone and said only, "What we found is no longer here." Faces dropped. Emma Culligan stood in disbelief. She had detected it first. Charles felt decades of effort vanish overnight. Scott stared at the wet imprint left in the mud. Yes, money was distributed. Life-changing sums, but unease lingered. Emma said quietly, "We found wealth, but did we find the answer?" Marty said nothing. Rick stood apart, staring toward the ocean, questioning himself. Charles finally broke the silence. That wasn't ours to sell. Filming stopped. The weight was unbearable. No celebration followed, no joy. Just a deeper mystery. Days later, another bombshell dropped. Crew members had received multi-million-dollar payments. The internet exploded. Names surfaced. It was real. Rick personally compensated his core team: Marty, Charles, Emma, Scott, and others. Gratitude, he said. Recognition for their years of work. But doubts followed. Was it appreciation or hush money? Emma admitted off-camera, "What we lost matters more than the money." Charles said it outright, "History has no price." Online, fans called it blood money. Theories multiplied. Rick never explained himself. He simply said, "Everyone received their share. That chapter is closed." But it wasn't. Because soon after, Oak Island changed again. Armed guards appeared. Black SUVs, marked with unfamiliar insignias, rolled in and out. The crew wasn't told who they were or why they were there. And that's where the story truly begins. They officially called it an inspection, nothing more. But behind the scenes, insiders revealed a different story. The people who arrived weren't just inspectors. They were government agents and academic historians flown in from the mainland. That alone raised alarms. Why would such high-level figures need to be involved if this was only about gold? Emma Culligan later revealed that unfamiliar equipment suddenly appeared across the site. Advanced scanners, radiation sensors, sealed containment crates. The team was strictly instructed to stay away from the exact location where the object had been uncovered. Rick held private conversations with the agents, completely off camera. The film crew wasn't allowed anywhere near those discussions. Marty pushed back, demanding answers, but was quickly warned. Any interference would legally shut the project down. In that moment, it became clear. Oak Island was no longer under their control. Historians examined the artifact differently. They photographed ancient markings, sketched symbols, and whispered theories among themselves. Some believed the object could be tied to a lost civilization, or even ancient military technology. As government interest intensified, the speculation exploded. Could the container hold a power source? Something considered a national security risk. Fans flooded social media with one question. If it was only gold, why did the government step in? Reddit threads turned dark. "This isn't a treasure hunt anymore," one post read. "This is a cover-up." Overnight, Oak Island transformed. Armed security, restricted zones, checkpoints. What was once an island of adventure had become a place of tension and fear. And then Rick vanished again. No public appearances, no statements. One thing was certain. Wherever he wasn't acting alone. As word of the deal spread, experts around the world began weighing in. Many historians believed the container wasn't filled with coins or jewelry, but something far older and far more significant. Archaeologists who reviewed its structure said it didn't resemble any known treasure chest. The metal composition baffled them. It wasn't pure gold. It wasn't copper. It was something else entirely. Something modern science couldn't easily identify. Then came the symbols. Researchers noticed markings that closely resembled medieval European iconography, specifically those linked to the Knights Templar. A cross enclosed within a triangle, a circular seal surrounding it. The same symbols appeared on known Templar relics across Europe. That theory shook everything. If true, the container could have been part of a hidden Templar vault, buried centuries ago beneath Oak Island. Rick's refusal to label the find only fueled the fire. He never called it treasure, never called it an artifact. He said only one thing. It's something history isn't ready for. That single sentence ignited the internet. Scholars suggested that if the object truly had Templar origins, it might contain information dangerous to both governments and religious institutions. The media labeled it the hidden artifact theory. Documentary crews traced ancient Templar roots. Reddit and YouTube erupted with speculation. Was it the Holy Grail? Lost manuscripts? Proof that could rewrite religious history? There was no evidence, only endless theories. And with every passing day, the mystery grew. Then, after nearly a week of silence, Rick Lagina finally appeared on camera. He looked exhausted, hollow-eyed, changed. When he spoke, his voice was calm, but heavy. "What we found," he said slowly, "was probably not meant for the world. Yet." That was all it took. Fear and relief blended in his tone, as if he had just set down a burden too heavy to carry. He explained no further, only said that Oak Island had changed him, that sometimes discovering the truth carries consequences no one anticipates. The words hit hard. Emma stared at the floor. Marty remained stone-faced. Rick paused, as if he wanted to say more, but didn't. Perhaps he knew that once spoken, the truth could never be contained again. The internet erupted. Fans analyzed every syllable. Some said Rick sounded afraid. Others believed he was bound by an oath. A few even claimed to see the same ancient symbols, faintly visible in the background of the video. That moment transformed the Oak Island story forever. This was no longer about discovery. It was about sacrifice, guilt, and a secret that might never be revealed. Rick made one thing clear without saying it directly. What they found wasn't meant to be shown. It was meant to be protected. And maybe that's why he stayed silent. Because some discoveries aren't treasures, they're warnings. After Rick's statement, the team fractured. Some felt relieved, rewarded for years of work. Others felt deeply unsettled. A heated confrontation erupted between Charles Barkhouse and Emma Culligan. Emma believed Rick made the right choice. "Maybe the world isn't ready," she said. Charles exploded. "We didn't dig for decades to hide the truth," he argued. "We dug to reveal it." The argument escalated until Marty stepped in. But the damage was done. The team divided. Some stood firmly with Rick, trusting his judgment. Others believed Oak Island's mission had lost its soul. Filming became tense. Cameras were shut down multiple times. Scott Barlow admitted, "We're still one team, but it feels like a wall now stands between us." Rick barely spoke. His silence carried guilt. Marty tried to keep the peace, but there was no longer unity. The family that once searched together was slowly unraveling. The greatest loss wasn't the artifact, it was trust. Charles's final words echoed painfully. "If we become afraid of the truth, then Oak Island ends here." And perhaps that was the moment the mission truly changed. No longer a search for treasure, but a struggle over truth itself. Weeks later, a new rumor ignited the internet. The artifact had been sold to a billionaire collector. Every major outlet ran the headline. The buyer, according to insiders, was one of the most powerful and secretive individuals on Earth. Some linked him to European royalty. Others claimed he was a tech magnate obsessed with forbidden relics. His identity still unknown. Reports claimed the deal was executed via private jet. A sealed metal container left Oak Island under cover of darkness, transferred in Halifax, then flown to an undisclosed destination. Switzerland, Dubai, an underground vault. No one knows. Rick was asked directly, "Did you sell the artifact?" His response stunned everyone. "Some treasures choose their own owners." The mystery deepened. Online theories exploded. Government proxy, Templar descendant, ancient power source, divine manuscript. Oak Island's secret had moved beyond Rick into the hands of the world's most hidden elites. As speculations spiraled, the internet turned Oak Island into its greatest mystery yet. Satellite images, symbol analysis, old footage breakdowns, claims of electromagnetic signals. Even alien theories surfaced. Hashtags trended worldwide. Some called Rick a hero. Others called him a traitor. One question drowned out everything else. What was inside that box? And why did Rick choose silence? Mainstream media tried to downplay it. Overhyped, some said. But the denials only intensified curiosity. Oak Island was no longer just a location. It had become a symbol of a secret powerful enough to reshape history and dangerous enough to be hidden. Some experts defended Rick by saying he made a difficult but responsible choice. In their eyes, he refused to allow knowledge to become a weapon. They believed the Oak Island discovery had crossed a line. It was no longer about curiosity or fame, but about responsibility. But not everyone agreed. Other historians openly condemned the decision, calling it one of the greatest losses in modern historical research. They argued that Rick had taken away the world's chance to confront it. True past. A well-known British archaeologist stated bluntly in an interview, "If that object was truly connected to the Knights Templar, then selling it is no different from selling history itself." Several scholars claimed Rick's silence spoke louder than any explanation. To them, it suggested pressure from governments, institutions, or forces far beyond public view. Whatever the truth was, transparency vanished overnight. The debate spilled onto television panels and online forums. One side hailed Rick as a guardian who protected humanity from something potentially dangerous. The other mocked him as someone who chose profit over principle. News debates grew heated. Some journalists alleged state involvement. Others framed it as a moral crisis. Opinions were everywhere. Answers were nowhere. Then a senior historian delivered a chilling observation. History is never whole. It is always left unfinished by those who live it. That single line captured Oak Island perfectly. No one truly knows if Rick's choice was right or wrong. But one thing is undeniable. The disappearance of that object closed a chapter that may never reopen. Oak Island stopped being just a location. It became an unanswered lesson carved into time. Just when the mystery seemed to settle, another shockwave hit. Weeks later, an anonymous leak surfaced online and reignited everything. A document appeared, unverified, classified, and explosive. It claimed that what Rick discovered was never meant to be treasure at all. According to the document, the metallic chest was not a container. It was a key, a vault key. The leak suggested the chest was part of an ancient locking mechanism designed to activate a hidden chamber buried nearly 200 feet beneath Oak Island. The symbols engraved on the metal were not decorative, they were functional markers. The box itself was the trigger. The internet erupted. Reddit users exploded with one realization. That means the real treasure is still down there. Old maps were reanalyzed. Blueprints resurfaced. Forgotten drill logs were scrutinized again. News outlets ran bold headlines. Vault Key Theory, Oak Island Mystery, far from over. Emma Culligan broke her silence briefly saying, "If this document is accurate, then what Rick found was only the beginning. The full story hasn't been uncovered yet." Marty Lagina declined to comment, but Charles Barkhouse added fuel to the fire when he reminded reporters of something Rick had often said. "This isn't the end, it's the start." Suddenly, everything made sense. New theories flooded the internet. Some believed the chamber was a sacred Templar vault. Others suggested a forbidden relic, or even an ancient machine, lay dormant beneath the island. But the most unsettling detail in the leaked document was a single sentence. "When the chamber is opened, something awakens." Now the mystery shifted entirely. It was no longer about treasure. It was about what had been buried, intentionally, for centuries. And perhaps that was the reason Rick sold the key, not to profit from it, but to ensure it could never be used again. The camera slowly pulls back over Oak Island. Calm waves lap against the shore. The land looks unchanged, peaceful, untouched. Yet the air feels heavy with secrets. The narrator's voice echoes softly. Does the story of Oak Island end here, or is the real secret still buried below? That question lingers in the viewer's mind. Rick's silence, government secrecy, a metallic key that vanished into the shadows. Everything feels unfinished, not concluded, only paused. Some believe the treasure is gone. Others believe it's still waiting. But one truth remains. Oak Island is no longer just a place. It's a question no one has answered. And maybe that's the true power of the mystery. The deeper you dig, the deeper it goes. As the music swells, cinematic, emotional, haunting, the narrator delivers the final line. Perhaps what Rick Lagina found wasn't gold, but a truth the world still isn't ready to understand. The screen fades to the horizon. If you believe this is only the beginning, like, comment, share, and subscribe, because in the next video, we reveal the secret that still beats beneath Oak Island.